ओम सर्वधर्म स्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. We are studying Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, the master in the divine mood, and Narendranath. That is the fifth part of the whole series. And we are reading Sri Ramakrishna's influence on the Brahma Samaj and on this Samaj, on that Samaj, on the leaders of the Samaj, on the music of the Samaj. That was all described in the previous section. And in this section, two incidents where Saradananda Swamiji had the direct experience of Thakur's relation with Brahma Samaj is being taken up. And in the first one, there is a Maghotsav, annual function in the month of Magh in Mani Mallik Sen's house, in Mani Mallik's house of Sinduriyapati. And up to that we have read complete description. How they came to Dakshineshwar, Thakur said, I will be going there. And then they went there and they understood that the noon worship is over, singing is over, and in the evening now there will be again Kirtan. So from there we now pick up now. Fourth para. The extraordinary Sankirtan in Mani Mallik's house. When we came to know that it would be sometime before the prayer would begin, we went out. Afterwards, at dusk, we came back to the place. Scarcely had we reached the road in front of the house, when sweet music and the loud sounds of mridanga greeted our ears. Knowing that the kirtan had begun, we hastened to the parlor. But what we saw there beggars description. It cannot be described. There were crowds of people inside and outside the hall. So many people stood before every door and on the western roof that it was absolutely impossible to push through the crowd into the room. Within no time, all were craning their necks and looking into the room, looking into the hall, with calm eyes full of devotion. So starts from description of the effect of the kirtan. They were not at all conscious as to who was or was not beside them. Not that we select our place and all that. They were not conscious who is before them. That means they were conscious only about Sri Ramakrishna and his activities. Knowing that it was impossible to enter the room through the front door, we went round, crossed the western roof, and were near a northern door of the parlor. As the crowd here was somewhat thin, we thrust our heads somehow into the room and saw. They had not entered the room, I thrust heads somehow in the room and saw the extraordinary dance of the master. A wonderful scene. High waves of heavenly bliss. High waves of heavenly bliss. I should describe it as Anandamaya Kosha, which is the nearest expression of Ananda Swarup Brahman. And Thakur was always in that. High waves of heavenly bliss were surging there in strong currents. All were lost altogether in the surge of the kirtan, and laughed, wept and danced all. Now this has to be a little carefully examined, because in comparison, I have heard that from many people. This Asaram Bapu is now in jail. The congregation will be in thousands. And before Asaram comes, 1 hour they would create the atmosphere. Somebody comes and speaks something, somebody sings. And by the time Asaram comes, people are like this, laughing and crying. So similar two things are there. So a sort of hypnotism was used by the what we call the hype before Asaram came. And people lost themselves. What was inside them came out. And then afterward they would say, oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And they would become, many things are similar. They would become slaves of Asaram from that day. And when he was arrested, he said, I have 4 crore devotees throughout the world. So if you think of number of influence, same thing. So you must find out some criteria to distinguish between these two. In Thakur's case, heavenly bliss and minds were concentrated on Thakur. In Asaram's case, Asaram has not yet come down, and minds are concentrated on the stage. And then Thakur's influence would be to lift their minds towards God. That is the main criteria. And nobody felt weak. In Asaram Babu's case, due to hypnotism, people lost their strength and became slaves to Asaram. You know how much they are slaves? How much they are influenced? Even today, though things have been proved about him, their devotees won't agree. They would say, no, he is a saint. To the extent that he will come out by his own power. Now so many years have gone. So these so-called godmen have the power to create some influence on the people. Then later on was this Gurmit or somebody is there, no? You know the case, no? No. You know. There is some Baba in Punjab. He is also in jail. And he had a girl with him, called her daughter. She is also in jail. And when they went to arrest him, thousands of his followers fought with the police. And lot of weapons are stored in his ashram. So, if you see by influence-wise, good or bad, heavenly or hellish, and that is what happens. So, we must have a clear-cut distinction in our mind. Otherwise, we become deluded. I will use still another example. Though not as bad as this, I heard it from most revered Ranganathanji Maharaj. In America, on the main road, some people are singing and dancing. Inside, ISKCON ashram is there. And it is fully crowded. So that crowd has overflowed in the lanes and up to the main road. And they are singing and dancing of joy. So somebody asked them, what are you singing? What is the matter of joy? He said, see how nice singing is going on. Rowdies go to jail. Rowdies go to jail. And like that they are singing and dancing. You understood what is going on? Arre, Radhe Radhe Govinda Jai. That is inside. But getting distorted by the time it comes to the main road. And what is the meaning? Where is God in that? Where is love of God? Radhe Radhe Govinda Jai. Rowdies go to jail. So influence on people should not be the only criteria. And as per spreading again, the one sect of Hinduism, if you call it like that, throughout the world, which has spread very fast, is this ISKCON people. In every country, like Russia or everywhere, they are there. That is not as bad as Asaram and Gurmukh, because it does not lead to degeneration, but meaningless. So, there is something called emotion. And this word itself has become so popular these days. While my Guru used to shudder hearing this word. He used to say emotion is all right in the beginning. Emotionalism is bad, he used to say. And he used to say emotion is biological. The correct word. We have been stuck with that word in many places here. Then we started reading it, understanding what it is. Two things are these days not commenting upon, enjoyment and emotion. Because many times I have told already. So emotion is biological. And the right thing is spiritual feeling. About feeling, my Guruji's words, not down in your mind, are that feeling is genuine, which proceeds from an absolutely tranquil heart. That feeling is genuine, which proceeds from an absolutely tranquil heart. And I would add immediately, that thinking is genuine, which proceeds from an absolutely tranquil heart. That will is genuine, which proceeds from the absolute tranquil heart. So you understand, mind is outside, heart is inside. Heart is the instrument where we are related with God. Mind is an instrument which connects us with outside world. This distinction you should understand. In the beginning, our thing is always mixed with the mind. And so emotion is all right. to begin with. Then he used to say, how to understand it is the emotion or inspiration or feeling in the heart. He used to say, if emotion rises, try to taper it down by philosophical reasoning and practical reasoning. Philosophical reasoning means understand what is God, what is our relation with that, and control it. And practical reason means how it will appear to people and what will be effect on us. And if it is feeling mixed, then by control, that emotion will be stopped. Feeling will never be lost. The more you try to control the feeling, it will grow. That is the test. So he said, when I asked how to understand and how to deal, he said, take everything to be emotion in the beginning and try to control it. And that which will not be controlled is feeling. So the rise of emotion, I will tell something more about it. Poets have imagination, and the expressions of their poetry are many times wonderful. With the help of imagination, they arouse their emotions. You know, most of the famous poets, either in India or outside, you have heard some names of English poets, Keats, Shelley. Their character was completely gone. Even musicians lose their character unless they have hold on themselves. And it is this music which helps a man to go to God. So everywhere this distinction must be clearly understood. And about dancing and singing, at the end of this volume we'll come to that. Artificially people try to imitate. Have you seen Arati in any Bengali ashram, Bengali temple? No. Where to show you? The pujari dances with the Arati. Have you seen that? As if he is in a bhava. But dancing by bhava is different. So imitation and reality also you should distinguish. Now, Thakur's influence is positive. The man gains more and more strength. His devotion towards God increases through Thakur. While devotion to Asaram and Gurmeet and all that debases a man, makes him fall down, makes him weak, makes him a slave to those persons. Thakur came to liberate people, not to make them slaves. And Vedanta philosophy, if you take, what is the name for Vedanta philosophy? De-hypnotization of the hypnotic. We are already hypnotized by the world, and that Vedanta removes. Anyway, so I tried to put before you the two sides. Now let us see Thakur's thing. All were lost altogether in the surge of the kirtan and laughed, wept and danced. And unable to control themselves, many were falling now and then violently on the ground. Violently means not that they were sleeping, no control, so they were falling. Sold by emotion, they behave like a troop of lunatics. Emotion, I would say feeling. The master was dancing in the center of that God intoxicated assemblage. God intoxicated. Now going forward with rapid steps. Now going backward in a similar way to the cadence of the music. Cadence of the music, understand? ताले ताले नाचे, ताले ताले steps आगे पढ़चे, पीछे नहीं जाते. As per the rhythm, the steps are coming and going back. Wherever he was thus going forward in any direction, the people there, as if enchanted, made room for his free movement. Crowd is too much. But if you walk, people will go back, pushing each other. When he comes like that, they will come forward again. If he goes backwards, people will go back. Automatically, this was happening. The people there, as if enchanted, made room for his free movement. An extraordinary divine light was playing on his smiling face. What is this divine light? Consciousness is always compared to light. And the consciousness in full comes out as light, bright. So it is divine light. There is a woman also these days. You are not aware of this thing. She calls herself what? Some, I don't remember now, Gayatri Devi or Durga Devi or something. In Mumbai. She is from UP or maybe Haryana. But she is in Mumbai. And lots of followers are there. An extraordinary divine light was playing on his smiling face all the while. This is difficult to imitate. The mouths and faces become distorted of these people. Because Ananda Swarup Brahman is manifested. A wonderful blending of extraordinary tenderness, sweetness, and leonine strength was visible in every limb of the master's body. You understand? That is the beauty of the dance. Because of love of God, very tender, but that has filled the personality with great vigor. So, Tandav and Lasya both get combined there. And that is wonderful blending of extraordinary tenderness, sweetness, and leonine strength was visible in every limb of the master's body. Saradananda Swamiji's description, we have tried to visualize and imagine this. That superb dance, in it there was no ostentation. What is ostentation? Show. Damba. That means show more than what you have. That is the general definition of ostentation. In it there was no ostentation, no jumping or hopping, no unnatural gestures of the limbs, no acrobatics. To entertain people, all these are taken up by people. Nor was there to be noticed any absence of control. That is the meaning. The whole thing is moving under divine control. Superb control. There were in it the natural posture and the movement of each limb as a gushing overflow of grace, bliss, and sweetness. Grace, because he is bestowing grace on people. Bliss is spread throughout the room. And sweetness. Sweetness is a matter of joy only. Surging from within, the like of which may be noticed in a large fish, long confined in a mud puddle, when it is suddenly let loose in a vast sheet of water. That is the comparison. Fish is big, but is contained in small pond. And when it goes to the ocean, it understands, oh, I am free now. And jumps here, there. That was what is happening. Because Thakur is free from inside, no bondage. The like of which may be noticed in a large fish, long confined in a mud puddle, when it is suddenly let loose in a vast sheet of water, swimming in all directions, now slowly, now rapidly. This you can see in the fishes. Yeah, golden fish here. That is a limited space. Swimming in all directions, now slowly, now rapidly, and expressing its joy in diverse ways. In men, it is very difficult. So in fish, he is showing. In men, the self-consciousness comes. People are seeing me, how I should appear. Another thing in human dancing or singing, an expectation of appreciation, which was totally absent in Thakur. It appeared as if the dance was the dynamic bodily expression of the surge of bliss, the reality of Brahman. Anandam Brahmano Vidya. So that Ananda is surging. Anandamaya Kosha. He was experiencing within. Thus, dancing, sometimes he lost his normal consciousness, sometimes his cloth would slip. This we have seen. No body consciousness, cloth cannot slip. Which others would fasten firmly round his waist. He is not conscious of that. Again, sometimes seeing someone losing normal, but he has not lost his control. He is fully aware of what is happening. Again, sometimes seeing someone losing normal consciousness on account of the infusion of spiritual emotions, feelings, he touched his breast and brought him back to consciousness. So he is sarvapi, he understands what is happening. This combination is beyond imagination. It seemed that descending on him, a divine bright stream of bliss was spreading on all sides and enabling now see influence according to adhikar, enabling true devotees to see God face to face. It enabled those of lukewarm disposition to intensify their fervor. Idle minds to go forward with enthusiasm to the realm of spirituality. And those extremely attached to the world to become fully free from that attachment for the time being. How beautifully, according to the adhikar, it is being received. The surge of his divine emotion caught others and overpowered them. And illumined by his purity, their minds ascended to an unknown high spiritual level. Through this, his purity is being infused in people. That Vijay Krishna Goswami, the Acharya of the general Brahma Samaj, went now and then into a trance and lost consciousness needs no mention. He was a Goswami. Many other Brahmo devotees also were in the same condition because they are devotees after all. It was a Brahmo festival. Beside the sweet voice Chiranjeev Sharma, he was singing to the accompaniment of a one-stringed musical instrument. You have seen that? Ektara? Ektara, village singer sing like that. Mahapurush used to sing on Ektara. As he was singing to the accompaniment of a one-stringed musical instrument, the song, Dance of Children of the Blissful Mother round and round. কি আছে আনন্দময়ের ছেলে নাচ ঘুরে ফিরে became absorbed in the idea, Chiranjeev Sharma himself, and lost himself in the self. When a period of more than 2 hours was thus spent in enjoying the bliss of Kirtan. The song, Who has brought down to the world the name of Hari so sweet was sung. এমন মধুর হরিনাম জগতে আনি লোককে এ নাম নিতাই এনেছে না হয় গৌর এনে so the Brahma Samaj Nirakarvadi and they are singing songs of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nitai Chaitanya's associate and his own name is Gaur. না হয় শান্তিপুরের আদ্বৈত সেই এনেছে third associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Advaitacharya. The first song ওই নাচরে আনন্দময়ের ছেলে তোরা ঘুরে ফিরে was sung and the waves of emotions produced by that extraordinary kirtan gradually subsided. And then salutations were made to all the teachers of devotion and religious communities, not to Asarama. So that is Thakur's universality. After singing Kirtan, Anandamai, one Kirtan, then Hari Rasa, another Kirtan, and then salutations to all the Sampradayas. That was Thakur's every time he used to do that. To all the teachers of devotion and religious communities. When all sat down at the end of the Kirtan, the master, we remember, requested Acharya Nagendranath Chattopadhyaya to sing, drink the wine of the name of Hari, the essence of all beings, O my mind, and be inebriated. Hari Rasa Madira Piye Mamu Manasa Mature. It's a beautiful Bengali song. একবার লুটোয় अवनी तले हरि हरि बोले कांदो रे गति करो करो बोले गभीर निनादे हरि हरि नामे गगन छाओ रे नाचो हरि बोले दुबाहु तुले हरि नाम बिलाओ रे लोकेर प्राणे प्राणे. These certain things in bracket that is called akhar. You know that At that time, lines are composed and added to the original song. Hari Premananda Rase, Anudina Bhasare, Gav Hari Nam, Ho Purna Kam, Jato Nicha Vasana Nashare, Premanande Mete. That was the song. We'll read in English now. Drink the wine of the name of Hari, the essence of all beings, O my mind, and be inebriated. That full song is not given in English, so I should translate it. He asked Nagendranath to sing that song. So Saradananda Swamiji has provided that song. First line only has been translated. Hari Rasa Madira Piye Mama Manasa Mature. Drink the wine of Hari Rasa and be intoxicated. Luta, Akbar Luta Avanital. You roll down on the ground. Hari Hari Bole Kadore. Weep saying Hari Hari. Gati Karo Karo Bole Akar. Hey, save me, take me to the other shore. Like that. Gabir Ninade Hari, Hari Nam Gagana Chaure. Deeply let the sound reverberate and let it reach the skies. Nacho Hari Bole Dubahutul. Dance saying Hari Hari, raising both your hands. Harinama Bilaure. Distribute that Harinam to others. Loker Dware Dware. That is Akar again. Distributed in the door by door houses. Hari Premananda Rase Anudina Bhasure. In the joy of Hari Premananda, daily you should float. Gav Harinam, if you sing Harinam, oh Purnakam, all your desires will be fulfilled. Jato Nicha Vasana Nashure. Desires means not bad desires. All the lower vasanas will be destroyed. And the desire of God relation will be fulfilled. Premanande Mete. Due to the intoxication of the bliss of love, the lower vasanas will be destroyed. This is the song. And he complied at once. Filled with fervor, he sang it sweetly, repeating it twice or thrice, which again gladdened the hearts of all. You understand this? The intensity is reached in that dance. And to stabilize it, this song is sung repeatedly. Afterwards, the master began giving various instructions to all present in the course of the exposition of the theme that the Jiva would surely attain supreme peace if he could but withdraw his mind from sight. So the Vairageshwar. This you won't find in Asa Ramananda. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If he could but withdraw his mind, one thing appears to me, I'll speak, though I have been heavily criticized by many for saying that thing. The great poet of India, Rabindranath Tagore, has said, you know, Vairagya je mukti se amar no. I don't want that mukti which comes over Vairagya. But I don't want to say anything more. I have been abused by Bengalis for that. Master is telling that Jiva would surely attain its supreme peace if he could but withdraw his mind from sights, tastes, and other worldly objects and offer it to the Lord. The women devotees also, who were sitting in the eastern part of the parlor behind the screen, that was the system in those. They would not be seen by the men. They would see everything because screen is like that. Put various questions to him. So actively they are participating. Put various questions to him on spiritual matters and enjoyed the illuminating replies. That enjoy is not a happy word. Were benefited by the illuminating reply. Illuminating. Thus, while the master was engaged in solving the problems, he burst into singing a few songs in praise of the Divine Mother composed. So Thakur's method, after teaching, he would sing, so that thought entered deeper in the mind. Composed by Ramprasad, Kamalakant and other devotees, sadhaka song, not poets. To create a deep impression about that subject on the minds of all present. Of all the songs he sang, we distinctly remember the following five. Sometimes it has happened, and sometimes you remember distinctly five songs. Majulo Amar Mano Brahmara Shama Pada Neela Kamale. The black bee of my mind is fully engrossed in sucking the honey of the blue lotus of Shama's feet. Shama, Kali is not black. Kali is dark blue. So the black blue is a lotus, dark blue. It is a lotus. And their bees are sucking. Shamapada Akashete Man Gudikhan Guditechu. First line he has given. The kite of my mind was flying high in the sky of Shama's feet. Shama's feet is like high sky because my mind is flying there. ये सब khapa magir khala. Magi means woman. Khapa means mad. All this is the mad woman's play. That means Kali Mother. मन बेचारीर की दोष आछे तबे केनो दोषी करो मीछे. What is the fault of the poor mind? Why do you falsely hold him guilty? That means by mind by nature goes to outside. So what can it do? আমি ওই খেদে খেদ করি তুমি মাথা থাকতে আমার জায়গা ধরে চুরি. I grieve, O mother, only because theft was committed in my house while I was wide awake, and thou, mother, was given keeping of watch over me. So what theft has happened? Mind has gone to sub-objects. So both sounds, love of the mother and Vairagya, both are there. The master cut jokes with Vijay Goswami on the outside plane. Joy is always there. While the master was singing the mother's name, Vijay went to another room with a few devotees and engaged himself in reading out and explaining to them the Ramayana by Tulsidas. That is a part of their celebration. Seeing that the time for the evening prayer was nearing, he came back to the parlor to bow down to the master before he began the prayer. As soon as he saw Vijay, the master said jokingly, Vijay feels great delight in Sankirtan nowadays. But I am seized with fear that when he dances, for the whole roof may crash. He was fat man. All laughed. Yes, such an event actually took place in our part of the country. People built second stories of houses there with wood and mud only. A Goswami went to the house of one of his disciples and began singing kirtan on the first floor. Here it should be as soon. That S, one S has come there, two.
Yes.
As soon as the atmosphere was created and the kirtan became quite enjoyable, dancing began. Now the Goswami was a little fat like you, looking towards Vijay. After he had danced for some time, the roof gave way and the Goswami descended plumb to the ground floor. That is why I am afraid that your dancing might produce such an effect. Now the roof is a firm roof, not but like that. All laughed. Seeing that Vijay had put ochre cloth, that master's in place. The master now said, he has nowadays become a great lover of the ochre color also. People dye in ochre their lower and upper garments only. But Vijay's color his cloth, wrapper, shirt, including even the pair of his canvas shoes. That is good. A state comes when one wishes to do so. One does not then like to put on any dress that is not ochre color. Ochre is indeed the mark of renunciation. You know what is this ochre color? What it is? When man's body is put on the chitta, that color of the flame, that is ochre color. So the sannyasi has to constantly remember that his body will meet like that. And he has to detach himself from the body consciousness. Nowadays we are putting anything. A state comes and one wishes to do so. One does not then like to put on any dress that is not ochre color. Ochre is indeed the mark of renunciation. It therefore reminds the aspirant that he has undertaken the vow of renouncing everything for the realization of God. Vijay now bowed down to the master, and the master blessed him with a gracious mind, saying, Peace, peace, peace be on you. On Shanti, Shanti. Then he went to put the prayer. The master's love for his devotees. So with all that, he'll see how he'll act on the devotee. When the master was singing the mother's name, another event happened which clearly proved how keen his power of observing outward things was, even though he always remained in a state of inwardness. That is possible to God only. When he was singing, he happened to look at Baburam's face and knew that he was feeling very, very hungry and thirsty. As he knew that he would not take anything before he himself had partaken of it, he had some sweets and a glass of water brought, saying that he wanted to take them. He himself took a particle of the sweets and gave the greater part to Baburam, and the rest to the devotees present who took it as prasad. Some time after, Vijay bowed down to the master and came downstairs for the evening prayer. When the master was taken to the inner apartment for his evening meal, by then it was past 9, evening meal. In the meantime, we came downstairs to join Vijay's prayer. We saw that the Brahmo devotees had assembled in the courtyard for prayer, and Acharya Vijay was seated at the altar in the veranda to the north. The entire congregation following the Acharya was singing in chorus the Vedic passage, Brahman is truth, knowledge, infinity. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Taittiriya. in remembrance of the glory of the Brahman, preliminary to starting the prayer. The prayer now commenced and went on for some time when the master came to the place and taking his seat along with others, joined the prayer. He sat quiet for about 10 or 15 minutes. When he bowed down on the ground, seeing that it was past 10, then he asked that a carriage should be sent for as he would return to Dakshineshwar. He then put on his shirt, stockings, and cap covering the ears, lest he should catch cold. That was Hemanta season. Walked out of the place of the meeting with a slow step, accompanied by Baburam and others, and got into the carriage. Acharya Vijay was addressing the circle of the Brahmas from the altar at this time and giving the usual instruction to them when we also left the meeting and started home. On that occasion, we learned how the master enjoyed bliss in the company of the Brahma devotees. But he has turned them completely, mother's name or his name. We do not know whether Mani Babu was a fully initiated Brahmo, but we know perfectly well that all his family men as well as women, were then followers of the Brahma religion. Mani Malik was a family of devotees. Mani Malik's was a family of devotees. Followers of the Brahma religion and offered daily prayers, etc., according to the prescribed order of that Samaj. There was a lady of this family who could not consent. We have come across this in Guru Bhav. Who could not concentrate her mind during her prayers, knowing which the master asked her affectionately, "Please tell me whom you happen to remember at that time." Coming to know that the lady was bringing up her brother's child, and her mind always remembered him during the prayer, the master advised her to serve that child as the very form of the boy Krishna. Putting this instruction into practice, the lady attained Bhav Samadhi in a short time. No talk of Nirvikar Samadhi there. But Bhav Samadhi is next to Nirvikar Samadhi, and that she attained in a short time. We have mentioned this elsewhere. We saw the master on another occasion enjoying divine bliss in the company of a few Brahmo devotees in another place. This will form the subject matter of the next section. Where 5 minutes time. We'll start the opening. Chapter 1, Section 3, the master in Jayagopal Sen's house. Anyway, we'll read. Om Sarvadharma Sthapakastvam Sarvadharma Swarupakah Acharyanam Acharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.